Hi guys, it's Ben from Nano Tanks, and in today's video, it's going to be a little controversial. We're going to talk about putting a new fish in my tank today. Now, the reason why it's a bit controversial is because it's a Betta fish, and the Betta fish that I'm putting in is quite a rare fish actually. It's relatively expensive and been sitting in my local fish shop for a long time, and I finally today decided, you know what, I'm going to take him home. He's also going in a community tank with a small shoal of about 32 Rasbora. Now, this is a 55 litre tank. There's a big external filter underneath, so there is plenty of space for this amount of fish, and they'll be very, very happy. There'll certainly be a fine balance. But for me, I'm interested to see how they react. I think Betta fish get a relatively bad reputation, but they're actually a species that can be kept in a community tank if it's the right tank, if the conditions are right, such as you need to have the right flow in the tank. I had to reduce the flow, and I've got filter taps to really slow down the flow of this to just a trickle. I've also got a lid for this tank. Betta fish love to jump. So let's have a look at this guy of what I've got today. Okay, so adding the fish to the tank. First of all, you can see this is the tank here. It's a nice planted nano tank. I've reduced the water down a little bit. It's got a big external filter, and it's got a shoal of Rasboras. Rasboras are very small fish. These are fully grown adults. They won't get any bigger than that. So there's a lot of space in here, and there's certainly enough to accommodate a Betta. Now, up here, this is the guy. So you can see he's actually called an avatar Betta, which is meant to be an extremely rare type of Betta. I think it's fin. I think it's called a placket. Forgive me, or type in the comments if I've got that wrong, but I think it's a placket based on the tail. It's a short fin tail, so don't mistake it for a female, because it is in fact male, but having a short fin in the Betta world can actually be really beneficial. I'll talk a bit more about that shortly. But the lights are very dim. It's been getting used to the tank for about an hour, and it's kind of time to start thinking about putting it in. The sound of my voice making a lot of noise, the low lighting, he's a bit still at the moment, but I'm going to slowly release him into the tank, and we're going to really monitor and see how he gets on with the rest of the fish. So let's put him in. I'm going to give him a couple of hours to be able to see how he acclimatizes first, and then I'm going to make a video update and also turn the lights a bit brighter so you can really see the colors. Okay, so you can see the Betta is now in the tank, and he's doing really, really well. One of the steps you may not have seen is you want to slowly acclimatize new fish into the aquarium. The Betta, it's important to note that putting a Betta in a tank before adding other fish can be difficult, because Bettas are very territorial. So this fish tank was already established, it's already been up and running, it already has a number of small fish in it, so there's less of an issue around territory. So it's fine to put in a Betta into an already existing community tank, but if you do it the other way around and you start with a Betta and then add additional fish, they can be very territorial and they can cause some problems further down the line. So when adding the Betta into the tank, try to make sure that you slowly rest the bag in the water, get it up to temperature. You can add a little bit of aquarium water step by step, slowly release it, keeping the lights off for a while. And then most importantly, you want to observe the Betta fish. You want to see its behavior. You want to make sure it's interacting with the rest of the groups without being aggressive. You want to make sure it's not getting too stressed. And this guy here has done really, really well in the first sort of 24 hours being in the tank. The other part to consider is, what have you already got in your tank? So there are a lot of fish that won't be compatible with a Betta, and that would include species such as another Betta, similar sized fish or territorial types of fish. Examples might be gouramis, honey gouramis, dwarf gouramis, rams and golden rams. You know, these are kind of the similar sized fish that can be quite territorial, and they may cause problems. So you don't want to put in similar sized fish that tend to have tendencies of fighting over territory. It normally goes with peaceful fish. If there are smaller fish, ideally a shoal of them would be better. But you don't want any fish that is going to be seen as aggressive. You can see in that video he's actually looking at his reflection there for a second. I think he got a bit of a fright, and he's eating a tablet there, which is actually for the Corys, but he's already scavenging and stealing other fish food, which is something to be careful of. He will compete for food more than anyone else, and he wants to make sure that everyone gets fed and he's not taking over too much of the food. Otherwise, especially the bottom feeding fish, like I've got some dwarf Corys in there and some shrimp. You want to make sure that they get plenty of food throughout the day. With this particular type of Betta, you can see here very clearly, this is a placket Betta. It's got short fins, which actually can be quite beneficial. Long fin Bettas, whilst very beautiful, tend to require very, very, very limited flow, if any flow at all. They like very still, almost stagnant water, because it's hard for them to balance with their long fins. It's also challenging if you've got any kind of nippy fish. They tend to get torn, and Bettas sometimes themselves will bite or chase or even try to eat their own fin and their own fins that are particularly long and wavy. So it can be sometimes more challenging to keep Bettas with very long flowing fins unless you have them in the right conditions. So short fins tend to do a little bit better with flow, and if you do have anything that's nippy, I probably wouldn't put them in the tank. So overall, I have to say that this Betta's adapted incredibly well to a community tank. It seemed really happy. It's not aggressive or interested in anything else in the tank. Feeding very well, exploring the whole tank now, and it's a really nice addition as a centerpiece fish for your aquarium. I think that with nano aquariums, it's always challenging to try to have a centerpiece fish. Most people go for gouramis, or a pair of dwarf or honey gouramis are a good choice, but a single alone Betta with the right setup can be a really nice addition here. And one thing that Bettas are quite unique than other fish is they tend to interact with their owners more so than most other fish that you'd keep in a tank of this size. During feeding time, and there are lots of videos that I've seen of owners feeding from their hand and the Betta actually doing it. It's also said that Bettas even recognize their owners as they approach the tank, and so whether that's true or not, I definitely like to think it is. And I always notice that as soon as I come up to the front of the tank, the Betta's always right there at the front, probably waiting for some food. But either way, again, it's a really nice, enjoyable experience to own a Betta and to be able to keep it and fit it in this kind of environment. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my video. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please write a comment what you think of the Betta. If you have one, if you put one in a community tank, I'd love to hear from everyone that's watching today. So again, thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.